my culture challenge, I asked a friend of mine, Felicia Rotrosky, if she would be willing to tell me about the history of Germany. When World War II started, she was only 10, and she told me all about what it was like for her as a kid growing up during the war. She told me about her father being drafted into the war without a choice, and how there were no warnings that the war had started. They only knew because of how close the gunshots were to their house.
The war started in September 1939, and at that time I was 10 years old.
Do you remember anything from?
Yes, I remember. We lived close enough to the border that I could hear the shots. Now, my father was not a member of Hitler's party, so he was drafted already like 4 weeks before the war even started, and it was supposed to be for exercises. They did military exercises. They did not tell you that Hitler was going to start the war on September 1st, 1939. And the first things we knew that the war had started was we heard the cannons from far away, but close enough that we could hear. Oh, I didn't move out of Germany early on. As the war progressed, of course, the Americans, the English, and the Russians were involved. And so when the Russian troops came closer, that didn't start till the beginning of 1945. Actually, no, it started at the end of 44. Hitler didn't allow us to move before that because he wouldn't give you any ration cards if you moved west towards your friend's house. My mother had friends in West Germany, but since we were not able to get any ration cards, we couldn't move. We had to stay till the Russians came. And when they came, we already heard the shots from actually pretty close distance. And the German army then provided boxcars for the refugees, and the refugees just stormed into the boxcars, ready to leave, and there were no windows, just the boxcar openings, and people sat so close to each other because there weren't any other cars available. And when the cars were full, whoever was left behind was left behind. And so it was in January of 1945. The temperature was way below zero. There was no heating in the boxcars, and there were no toilet facilities, no food, and ever so often the car doors opened when the train stopped, and Red Cross people were there to give you sandwiches, and sometimes the train just stopped like in some meadow, and everybody out to go to the bathroom in front of everybody else. It was pretty horrible. And then some people got so upset by the closeness and the poor situation, they kind of lost their mind, and then they were screaming all through the day and night. And then people decided to just put them out to pasture, and they left them there to die in the ice and the cold. And then it took us about 7 days on that train till we came to a part of Germany that had not been invaded by the Russian soldiers. Then my mother said, we have to go again, can go and fall onto the Russians. And so we found a train with wounded soldiers, and we went on that train, and all of a sudden the train stopped, and the English from the west met the Russian troops, and they divided the train up. So we were fortunate enough to go to the English side. And some people that were on the back half of the train, tried to start running to our side, but the Russians shot them. And then the train stopped in Lübeck. That's Schleswig-Holstein in Germany, the western part of Germany, near the Baltic Sea, northwestern part. And we had to live with other people. We were divided up into households that, like say, if you had a 2-bedroom household and maybe a couple extra rooms, you had to take in refugees. The harvests had been destroyed through the war, and so most countries in Europe were short on food supplies. And all people were pretty skinny. There were no heart attacks because there was not enough food to make your arteries get arteriosclerosis, okay? And as time went on, school started a year later, and I went to school.
Why is your native language important to you?
Right. I guess tradition. I mean, it's part of me. I'm born with it, yes, and that's why I feel very badly, that I did not teach my children. Yes, it's part of me.
After telling me about her childhood, she taught me some German words and phrases that she remembers. The language and history of Germany are very significant to the culture because in current-day Germany, a lot of people who live there aren't actually German, nor do they speak the native language. The history of Germany shaped the country as well as many surrounding countries in Europe. German is the language Felicia and other children grew up with. It's the language that they used to communicate when everything was going wrong. If you left Germany during the war, and if you left everything behind, then the German language is the only thing you have as a reminder of your childhood, your family, and everything that has happened. Therefore, it's very important and significant to the country and culture of Germany.
Guten Abend is good evening.
Guten Abend.
Guten Abend. Gute Nacht is good night. Guten Morgen is good morning.
If I were to go to Germany, how would I say, do you speak English?
Sprechen Sie English?
Sprechen Sie English?
Yeah, sprechen Sie. Do you speak English? Sprechen Sie English? Where is wo? What is was? Wer? Who? Wer ist das? Who is that? Wer, you spell W-E-R. Actually, very simple the way it's spelled. Now, the people that teach Latin in this country, somehow they teach it a little bit different from the way we teach it in Germany. The pronunciation is different.
How do you say sorry?
You say, es tut mir leid. See, es tut mir leid. That's 4 words in German. Wo ist das Buch? Wo sind, and this is multiple. Wo sind deine Gläser? Where are your glasses? See? There are so many declinations. I don't know, right? Wasser, water. Fenster is window. Tür is door. House is a house on top of the roof.
Like
Shingles.
shingle.
Roof shingles.
Yeah.
That's Ziegel.
In conclusion, I learned a lot from this project, and I would love to see Germany for myself. For a while, I forgot that I was recording a video and just listened to her speak. It was a great experience, and it shows how much you can learn about a person from just sitting and talking to them. I loved learning about the history of Germany, and the language is something I don't think I'll ever be able to master. I've learned a lot from this experience, and even though I don't like learning new languages or learning about history, I'm glad I sat down and listened to Felicia.